Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for a one-of-a-kind blogging experience? King of the blogosphere. Y'all ready? You're watching King Suffix TV. If you are going to preach it all the way. I'm not going to debate what your belief is spiritually about gay or not gay. I'm not here to debate that, because that will never be solved for some people. All I can say is find peace for yourself on that issue. But what I will say, if you are choosing to believe that God is against homosexuals and your church is choosing to preach against homosexuality, well then preach it all the way. Because I am sick of the Eddie Longs of the church. Why is it that we're preaching and talking against homosexuals, but then the preacher is going around poking little boys in their booty? But we don't want to address that. Your church will sit up here and bash gay people, but as long as they're on your piano, as long as they're singing solos, as long as they're directing your choir, as long as they're playing your drums, it's okay. Either you're going to ban it all together, or you're going to support it. Stop raping God's people of their talent. Don't live your life. I'm going to preach against your lifestyle, but make sure that you continue to do what you're doing in this church to make it popping every Sunday morning. I'm going to preach against you, but I'm going to go poke little boys in their booty after church. And then I'm going to have my rich pastor friend, Mr. Dollar, across town defend me and say, you better not put your mouth on Eddie for what he's doing, because he's just a man and he just had a wreck. But nobody stopped Eddie when he was talking about the openly gay people who were honest and open with their life. So tell me, what in the world is the difference between the pastor who hides that they're poking little boys in their booty and raping and molesting them behind closed doors versus the homosexual who is honest with him or herself, open with him or her family, open with the church family, and just wants to come to church and serve God? The honest individual is going to hell, but the preacher who does it behind their back is going to heaven and is still anointed, and you better not dare go to World Jesus. You better stay at New Birth. Really, Creflo? And people wonder why people stop believing and stop going to church. Because a mess like this. And we won't address it. Again, I will repeat it. I'm not here to debate your views or your opinions about homosexuality and your religion. They will never meet. You will either be for it or against it. But my message to the church is, if you are going to preach it, against it, preach against it all the way. And stop making it bigger than everything else. If you're going to preach against the homosexuals, well, let's preach against the backsliding deacons. Let's preach against the whorish evangelists. Let's preach against the money laundering in the church. Let's preach against all those things. If you're going to preach it all the way. If you're going to do it at all. Even God said, I'd rather be hot and cold. How dare you stand in God's pulpit and preach against the gays who are open and honest, but you're going around poking little boys? How dare you? And then stand in that same exact pulpit and lie and say you are not that man when you were. That is what's ticking me off. At least if I was to stand in the pulpit, you would know who I am. And after that, I don't care if you support me or not. That is not my concern. But don't dare sit up there and speak out against it, and you're doing it. You are wrong. Can he be forgiven? Yes. Do I want to see him fall? No. But do I want the lies and the manipulation and the deceitfulness to stop? Yes. That's what I want to stop. I'm not talking against him because he is a man. I'm talking against this model of preachers praying against the weak. We have to stop that. That has to stop. You have to stop using your power and your privilege as an anointed man or woman of God to rape God's people of their gifts, talents, and sometimes their bodies. You have to stop that. You have to. We're all humans and we all make mistakes. I know he can pray to God just like I can pray to God for my sins and be forgiven. And he can still make it in. I'm not speaking against that. He has the right to live his life and to continue to do. No one's taking away the good work that he has done. But this is the thing. If you're going to preach it all the way, baby. Preach it all the way every day. And like the song said, practice what you preach. I fell in love with that song a long time ago and didn't know what it meant. And now I know it's because that's what, practice what you preach. King of the blogosphere.